Welcome to my review today. In my review today, I will be reviewing the Sony 50 f1.2, and I'll be going through the features, and I'll also be talking about the performance of this lens in terms, and then I'll be showing you guys some images. I will also test the autofocus, especially for the video for this lens. The first part of this review will be when I will be unboxing, just doing a quick unboxing of this lens and see what is inside the box. After that, then I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to go through some of the features of this lens. Then we're going to go through some autofocus test, and then we're going to go through some of the images that I will be taking with this lens. Before we go on into this review, I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe. On this channel, I do review things, especially when it comes to cameras, gears, and tech, and I also go do the behind the scene, the BTS of my photo shoot. So I'll also talk about business education on this channel as well. If those three things interest you, please do subscribe to this channel so that you can get notified each time I release a new video, and also by doing, you will be supporting this channel. So let's dive deep into this lens. So let's start with the unboxing. So this is the quick unboxing, and if you're familiar with the G Master cases, you will know that it comes like this. It's just a special, it comes in this black and orange case. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. So let's quickly open the box itself. So here is the box. So if I'm gonna take out, so it normally comes into this small pouch or case or whatever you call it. So it comes in this, and that is the sign that this is a premium product from Sony. So here we have it. And then also in the box, you're gonna have things like, all these, nobody ever goes through this. So I'm just gonna put this on the side with the box. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go through it. So this is the box. I'm just gonna open the pouch, and here we go. So, and this is nice to have because obviously you can carry it with you if you're going out, and also have this this handle that you can take along with yourself. So this is, I find this to be very useful sometimes if you're taking this with taking it out. So that is also a good thing to have. It's a nice box. So there's nothing much to say about this. So I love that. So let's get into the lens itself. So here we have it. So here is the Sony 50 f1.2, properly wrapped, and straight away you guys can see I love this feel of this lens itself. So it just looks premium in the hand, as you guys can see, and I love that feel. And also one thing that you guys will notice straight away from this lens is the fact that it's got this focus hold button here, and I think we have two of them. So we have I think one there, and that's another one, I think, and this is the click and the click for your aperture ring. So this is one, and also you have the AF and the MF button there as well. The aperture ring itself is just right here, and you guys can just see it. You can just change your aperture to whatever you want it to be, which is a very good thing. Overall, it is weather seal, as you guys can see, properly weather seal. And this is, if we open the front glass, the front rear, and this is amazing. This is a lot of glass here, and you guys can see that the glass is somehow like, I don't know how to say it, just goes that way. It feels good, but this definitely feels premium in the hand holding it, and I feel like, well, this is well built. And also you can see the G Master logo here there, and that is when you know that this is obviously the premium one. This is the top of the line range when it comes to the lenses that Sony produces. So yeah, that's all about the lens and what it comes with. Obviously this is the cap as well, and that is it. And the final thing is this lens hood as well, which it's plasticky, but it feels good in the hand as well. So I think yeah, so that's all about it. So the next thing I'm going to be doing right now is just to go through some of the features of this lens. So let's go. So you guys are welcome to this segment, and I just want to go quickly through the features of this lens. Number one, this lens is the 60th in the Sony EML category, so it's a significant lens in their production line. It's an EML lens, like I've said. The maximum aperture on these, the minimum aperture is 16 and the maximum is 1.2. The filter thread with this lens is 72 and the angle of view is 47. Right now there's a lot, like I said, going on with this lens. So this lens has got 11 blade aperture that allows you to produce some amazing bokeh, smooth creamy background. Also, this lens also got what we call the XD linear motor. It allows you to, to achieve in the fast focusing. So this should be very fast and precise. And also with this lens, you have within the body, like I've said, you have a lot of buttons like the aperture ring, the focus hold button, the MF and the AF button. There's a lot going on. And this lens is also dust and moist resistant. So there's a lot of glass with this lens. So this is an amazing lens in terms of production. Like I said, it is premium. It also had this coating that allows it to prevent against like a backlit when you're taking pictures of backlit. It will still provide some contrasting imaging that will be very good for you to use in most lenses that even in 50 range, most of them when they struggle when it comes to this backlit, but it handles it very well. Even with flare, this lens doesn't flare, so it's got so much of technology built into this lens. And remember, the price of this lens is around $2,000 or pounds, so that is a lot of money. So we'll come back to the price later on, but like I said, so having talked about all these features that we have with this lens, what I will be doing right now is to go through the autofocus of this lens. I want to test how fast this lens is, and after going through that the autofocus test, what I'm just going to do then is also to now show you guys some images that I've taken with this lens. Now this lens should be sharp, even wide open it should be sharp, and it should control like things like chromatic aberration very well, so this lens overall should perform, and I have high expectations. So I've watched other reviews, but I don't want to say anything unless I practically go out and test this lens myself. And at the end of this review, what I will be doing is to give you my own final conclusion about this lens. Should you get it or not, and who is this lens for? So that's what I'll be. So next, now I just want to test the autofocus, and then we'll go through the images. So in this testing, as you guys can see, I was trying to take a picture of, I was trying to do the focus between two lenses. As you guys can see how fast it is moving from one, acquiring that focus as fast as possible. It's just insanely fast. This is fast, quick. I mean, some lenses struggle. So, but for this one, it's just, moving as quick as possible. If you're changing focus, it's moving from one A to B, from point B to C. It's just amazing. So I think in terms of autofocus, this lens is performing absolutely well. So I also try to test the autofocus of this lens by running towards this lens and moving side by side and just seeing how fast this lens will acquire focus. And once I come into the front of the camera, it just sticks to my eyes. Even when I was walking from back to the front and just running towards the camera, this lens was still like performing even to the eyes, so the autofocus, I have no absolute complaint about this lens, and I'm using it with the Sony AR4 at the moment. With the newest cameras, it's even going to perform, it can only perform even better, but as it is right now, it's absolutely doing it's as fast as the 135 that I also have as well. So Sony is doing amazing stuff with this lens. Okay, let's talk about the video capability of this lens. In my own testing, I found that this lens is focusing very fast. As you guys can see, when I was moving back and forward and sideways, up and down, it was focusing very fast, and I love that about this lens. I also love the way this lens renders. You can see the background is all blurred out, it's very smooth, it's just screaming, and it's so lovely. Another thing I like about this lens is the focus ring. It's so smooth when you're using it. It just goes smoothly, you know, and it goes in a natural way, which is very good as well, and I love that as well. So in terms of performance, in terms of the color contrast that is coming out of this lens, and in terms of rendering and, you know, the manual focus, everything works well in regarding this lens. There's one issue about this lens I will talk about. Number one, the issue, obviously this lens exhibits some focus breathing, and you guys can see it is very clear, but it shouldn't affect people that are doing photography and for videos as well. Unless you're doing a lot of focus pulling, I think overall this lens should be okay. It should be fine with everyone. Also, in terms of this lens, also is a bit heavy, but for me, I find it in the handling, I find it very good. I mean, it balances well with the camera, because most of the issue I have with, for instance, the Zeiss F1.8 is the fact that, you know, I just feel that that lens is, you know, it's a very good lens, but sometimes it just feels like very small. It's not balanced with the camera itself. But overall, I feel this one balanced well as well. The other issue that I've not mentioned in the still when I was talking about the photography aspect, and that is color fringing. There's a bit of color fringing at f1.2 as well with this lens, although I did not find this when I was doing my own testing. I did not find any color fringing, but some people have already talked about this color fringing at f1.2, but they're all gone away at f1.8 and f2, so which means that also you can correct them in post as well. But my overall experience using this lens in terms of, you know, doing this video and shooting with it right now is just a pleasant one, and I will highly recommend it. But there's a big issue with this lens when it comes to price. This lens costs around 2,000 plus, and although it's priced well, because the competitors like the Nikons and the Canon, they are even slightly expensive than this one, you know, so this one is even cheaper than those two. So but the main reason why you're buying this lens is because it's f1.2, and you want to use that f1.2, which creates that, you know, dreamy look for you. But you now need to decide whether that f1.2 is worth it, whether the price you're paying for it, because there are options. You have the Zeiss 55, which is around maybe 650, 700 pounds right now, and also you have the Zeiss 50. Which costs around 1,500. That is f1.4 as well, which is great. And also you have the Sigma 50 f1.4, which will cost you less than £1,000 as well. So you have those options there. But this is the widest aperture, which is at f1.2. So you need to ask yourself a question. You need to ask yourself a question. Can you afford it? You know, is it worth it to go for that f1.2, or just to, you know, go for the other smaller and cheaper option? So right now, what I'm going to do right now is to show you guys some of the images I've taken with this lens, and then after that we're going to head back to the studio and we're going to talk about my own final conclusion about this lens, what this lens is for, and maybe you should get this lens or not. See you. Let's go. Guys, what can I say about this lens? Well, as you guys can see, this lens performs. I'm talking about a real life situation. Now, I'm not all about this technicality or the specs. I want to take this lens out and test it out. And in my own testing, it performed absolutely well. The images are sharp from edge to edge. And also this lens, one of the things I love in photography is I want my lens to focus as fast as possible, and this is insanely fast. Like, it just stay glued to the eye of your object and it tracks, and it's just an amazing lens to use. So I thoroughly enjoy using this lens in terms of the rendering, in terms of the bokeh, the creamy background, in terms of performance, in terms of, you know, controlling things like chromatic aberration, lens flare, and things like that. It's just perform as it should be. I mean, after all, this is a $2,000 lens, and so, but it lives up to the price, right? And you guys might be wondering, oh, this is too expensive. The funny thing is that all the lenses with other manufacturing country like Canon and Nikon, in fact, this is the cheapest. Is the cheapest in terms of in price. So if you're thinking this is expensive, the Canon one is, I think it's like £200 more, and it's like a little bit less than the Nikon one. So it's not overly priced because it's a 1.2 aperture lens. Now, who is this lens for? For me, this lens is for people that do event and things like wedding, and also for videographer as well. The major issue with this lens is obviously the focus breathing, but I think if you're just doing it for weddings and using for air talks and using for things like that, I think you don't have any problem. But in terms of photography, I do not have any complaint about this lens. It performs as it should. So for me, for people, if you're an event photographer like weddings or parties and things like that, yes, this lens is for you. If you do portrait, this lens is for you. And even for a videographer, to a certain extent, you would benefit a lot from this lens. The autofocus is just amazing, and not just only that, these images are tech sharp. I have the 135. The 135 is super sharp. It's one of my favorite lens of all time, but this is right up there with that 135 as well. I mean, 50 is not my best focal length, it's 85, but I needed the 50 because I do a lot of client work whereby I need to go to client houses, and most of these houses are very tight, and my 85 wouldn't work because it just wouldn't work. So the 50, because 50 is a portrait lens, it wouldn't distort a lot, and it will give you a nice portrait as well. So if you do portrait and also lastly, if you do night photography, like if you do night photography and you shoot a lot in the evening, like even parties and all that, I mean, at 1.2, what else do you want? This will be able to let in more light and allow you to take those beautiful portrait. And if you're someone that likes to do natural light photography as well, I think this is your best option because it will work in the night, in the day, in the morning. This is just an absolute best in terms for that. So I wouldn't recommend this for probably people in the landscape. Maybe it's too much, obviously, for it's overkill for somebody who's doing a landscape. Obviously, they need also a wider view as well. If you do things like real estate, probably this is not the best option for you. But this also can still serve as, but I feel personally that every photographer should have a 1.2 lens. This is my first 1.2 lens. Is the widest aperture lens I've ever owned, and I'm loving it already. I'm loving this lens already. Now, this lens was not given to me by Sony, or was not sent to me by Sony, so this is my own review, and everything I'm saying in this lens, about this lens in this review, is my own personal thought. So for me, I will highly recommend this lens. Now, if you're starting your photography today, I don't think this lens is for you because I think it's an overkill. But if you have the money to splash on this, and you have it, and you're even starting today, I will say absolutely go get this. But otherwise, I feel like if you make money for your photography and you do portrait, you do event, and you do videos as well, this lens, it's just, I feel it comes highly recommended from me. So that's my review today. Thank you for staying with me all through, and I will catch you guys soon. Bye bye.